I just want to give a little bit more information on our friend Pythagoras. Now, the man was considered cutting edge, even in his own mind. You've got to take into account that in his day, technology wasn't as advanced as it is today. Well, so we believe that it wasn't advanced back then as it is today. And the methodologies that are used in thinking back then are again different to what is used today. Now, I believe that times were simpler, and because of that, he was able to draw conclusions based on the information that was available to him at the time, helping him to draw the conclusion that the earth was in actual fact not flat, but round. Now, because of his beliefs, Pythagoras was persecuted by the local constabularies, as well as several religions, including Christianity. All because he was cutting edge. Now, I don't want you to go to prison for your beliefs. Of course not. You don't have to have the martyrdom of people like Pythagoras. But please keep in mind, if you studied the particular areas that you're training in, and you have all the information that is acceptable to you because you are on the cutting edge, what you need to do is to now have the conviction of your thoughts. If you believe in what you're doing, others will believe you also. If you're a charismatic presenter, like there are many out there who are, they have the ability to entice others to not believe maybe, but to accept the way of thinking. And in today's society, we have the acceptance that people are different. I mean, you only have to step outside your door to understand that concept. You have to keep it in mind that if you have the convictions that you are on the cutting edge and the information that you're giving is not being developed by anyone else and not understood yet by anyone else, and this is the first time that it's being presented, then it's going to be very difficult for you to maintain your spearhead in this particular field. What you need to do is to show how you drew the conclusions by having the information readily available to you and the formulas that you used and the understandings that help you to draw the conclusions. Now, in this, critical thinking is a major tool. Now, thinking skills as a human, the human mind, no matter what, no matter who you are, no matter what your gender may be, we all think in one form or another. Now, that is a simple fact. And the methods that we use in thinking only become apparent when we think about thinking. Now, that's funny, huh? Well, yeah, sure. When you think about thinking, what do you end up doing? You end up thinking. Yes, it's called critical thinking. Now, critical thinking and neurolinguistics. Do we know what neurolinguistics are? Neurolinguistics, neuro the mind, linguistics is speak. So mind speaking. Critical thinking means to determine through a set of procedures whether what you're thinking is factual or based on an assumption based on fact. Now, critical thinking and neurolinguistics together make a formidable team. Critical thinking states that all reasoning has purpose and that all reasoning starts with a problem somewhere in the mind. Neuro-linguistic thinking skills state that all reasoning is based on the assumption and that all reasoning leads to a conclusion. What critical thinking does is work on the assumption that problems are managed, not solved. Understanding this as the assumption, we are able to draw a conclusion. If we know that the problem is managed and not solved, is it possible that the same problem might return? Again, we have to assume yes, that the same problem will return. We have to determine one of three things, or if possible, all three. Do I look at the problem in a linear format? You know, step 1 leads to step 2, and step 2 leads to step 3, and so on and so forth. This means if I try to manage the wrong part of the problem, it will become insurmountable. But if I look at it one step at a time, the problem will be managed, or at least manageable. You know, a friend once said to me, he said, "Oh, come on, mate. It's only a few buckets of sand from the beach." Have you ever taken sand from the beach for your gardening needs at your home? Or maybe your child has asked you to build a small sand pit. So you've gone down to the beach and you've taken a couple of bags with you and a bucket and you've filled the bags with sand. You've gone home and you've filled up the little sand pit for your son or for your daughter. Well, he was doing this. He said, it's only a few buckets of sand from the beach and no one will ever notice that it's missing. And you know what? It's true. And I said, yes, that may be true, except the beach you enjoy today will be a few buckets short of sand, and your children's children may like to play in that sand. Think about it. Now, one other point here, do we look at a problem in a lateral format? In such a way that I see no matter where I start on the problem still gets managed. Some believe that this is the only way to handle a problem, and that is why problems become insurmountable. You need to think critically in order to determine what type of problem that you are facing in order to see the progressive steps to management. We also have to look at what is called chaos thinking. Now, chaos thinking is quite unique. This is the most difficult of all, as it requires a very special set of skills. And if you have this skill set, you have the skills of a fantastic leader, a fantastic manager, or a corporate director. Chaos thinking is when you can look down on a situation and see how the problem is interacting with other elements. Just like how a heckler, now that's someone in your audience that's giving you a difficult time, and what he or she is saying and how it affects the other people in your audience. If you can see it, you know how to determine the alpha participants within your presentation. You can determine what types of questions will be asked and how best to answer them. I want you to imagine for me here, for just a moment, okay? Now, just sit back and relax. You are now married and you have a young son who is often violent to other siblings at home, but not at school. In fact, he is considered a model student. He just likes picking on the brothers and sisters. Now, those closest to him, you know, like bashing up the brother or slapping the sister. Now, I want you to move forward a few years. And now he's married with a wife and children. Now, what type of attitude will he have towards his family based on his childhood growing up. This is you going into the future to witness a possible future. Remember, the future is relevant. It is never fixed. The future changes according to what happens in the present, which is dictated by what happens in the past. Now, you've gone into the future and you've witnessed a possible future. And then you've come back to the present to alter that future. Now, is this lineal thinking? Is this lateral thinking? Or is it chaos thinking? Now, that's what I want you to do. I want you to think about it, and I want you to write me a mail outlining your thought process and how you determined your answer. Okay. Right about now, you're asking Dr. Aryan or Dr. Richard, as some call me or some speak to me in, what does this have to do with being a good presenter? And that is a very good question and rightly asked. As I just stated, with this skill, you can see ahead. No, you don't do that before the presentation. You really do need to plan and prepare the right information and the right handouts as well as workbooks. Chaos thinking helps you determine the alpha in the room and understand the types of questions that they will ask so that you can focus your answers directly. Now, and in doing that, you're helping others as well, because some people may not ask questions because they don't want to appear silly, or they don't want to appear as though they don't know. That's okay. Now, you can focus your answers directly to that person and helping others, while most of the other attendants will be listening to the answers that you give and answering their own questions, making, of course, your job easier. And, of course, drawing more people into your friendship circle. Remember that 90%? Okay? Remember, creating a presentation where you become one with your audience so that you enhance the entire presentation feeling for not only them but for yourself. You'll enjoy yourself much, much more. You will, believe me.